prince named Prince Garrison. And Prince Garrison was very well liked in all of the land. So I decided to send Prince Garrison an email. I said, hey, let's talk about office teams on Thursday. This is very hypothetical. Then, this story takes an incredible twist. He does not respond to the email. So a full 7 days and 7 nights later, I go to Prince Garrison. I emailed him. I said, dearest Prince, you did not respond to my email. And I asked him to meet again. Then an email comes in. Sure. An angelic raises from my computer. I'm so excited that Prince Garrison emailed me back. I say, great, let me know a time that works for you. Then something happened. I got no response to that email. And I later found out that Prince Garrison was very busy doing things in pictures like this and not responding to my emails. He was out of control.
Oh my goodness!
And I said, enough. I said, I know what the problem is. And the problem is not with Prince Garrison. The problems are with his systems. See, he put his trust in something that was very untrustworthy, which are his systems. So this lady knows what it's like putting her trust in something that's not trustworthy. So that's exactly like what I'm talking about the problem is. So in order to help out this hypothetical situation with Prince Garrison, and maybe the more pathetical situations with future us of issues with emails or productivity in general, I wanted to take today and I wanted us to talk about our systems of productivity. So that's what we're doing today. So we're going to talk about our email systems, just checking and receiving email professionally and its importance. We're going to talk about our to-do list systems and how to use your email system in conjunction with your to-do list system so that nothing falls through the cracks. And lastly, our calendar systems. The reason why this is so important is because if this is not squeaky clean, this is a trust killer. It's a trust killer for you as an employee, and it's a trust killer for you as a leader of our church, and to the people that we're called to bring the gospel to in our city and equip the saints in our church. So your effectiveness will forever be limited as a result of these systems being ironed out or not. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I do personally and what I've done for the past 10 years, not because I've perfected this or am without issues, but it's more so I've seen a tremendous amount of success in keeping things from falling through the cracks. And so that's why I want to be helpful to you and as practical as I can be to share with you what I think would be a system that would serve you well and would work well. Before I get going, I'm going to just peel back the curtain. That Prince Garrison story was actually not a true story with our Garrison, so I just wanted to be very clear and upfront. If I had to be completely honest, I just wanted those pictures to be part of our permanent staff development training for the rest of eternity. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Okay, first section, getting going. Email. Number 1, respond to email within 24 business hours. The truth is, when you don't respond to an email, you may not think it's a very big deal, but what actually happens is you look bad, our church looks bad, and people get hurt in the meantime. When we don't respond to email, people actually take that as a personal offense. They do not see it as an admin error. I cannot tell you the number of instances we've seen in our history of our church where our people that have hearts and souls that we're called to by God have felt disrespected and unloved just because of an admin error of a unresponded to email or a forgotten email completely. So this is actually a people issue, and you as an employee at Midtown, you are representing Midtown. And this is why we take it very seriously. And if this is a pervasive issue, we'll try to coach and we'll try to give you warnings. But honestly, if this is an issue, you can't function in your role long term. It's just the reality of it. Now, this rule doesn't mean whenever an email comes in, you just drop what you're doing and that's now the most important project you've got going on. It's totally appropriate to respond to an email and say, hey, I'm really swamped right now, or I'm completely focused on other projects at the moment. I can look at this in a week or two and I'll be back in touch then. That person might not be pleased with your response, but that is effectively responding to a person within 24 business hours. So I just wanted to explain that for us all. Second, we need to have guardrails when using your phone for email. This is a very common occurrence where something will fall through the cracks and the response is, oh, I read that on my phone and then it completely slipped my mind. I didn't do anything with it. So for today, I really want us to make a commitment and hold to it. If an email comes in that has a question that is directed towards you or has a task directed towards you, I need you to respond in one of two ways. You either need to handle that question or task fully in that moment if you look at it on your phone, or you need to mark it as unread. You need to make a commitment to do one of those two options. There is no other scenario unless you can't trust yourself to make a commitment to that, and then your commitment is you do not check email on your phone. It is that big of a deal for things falling through the cracks, and this has been such a pervasive, consistent issue. And I've heard this excuse of reading something on the phone and then slipping our minds way too often to let us just slide by and not make a commitment one way or another. So this is a real issue that we need to have guardrails on. Make sense? Okay, cool. Questions, thoughts? Sound good? All right. Keep your inbox clean. Even if you marked emails as unread, if you have a clogged inbox, it will only take hours, if not minutes, where that email is now hidden, and you cannot actually see it in your field of vision. I want to ask. There are two types of people in this room. I could look at your phones right now to determine who you are. Two kinds of people. And if you're the second kind of person, I actually want to give some steps that are very technical, just really quickly, to help free you up from this. I want us to all keep our inboxes clean. So if you're the second kind of person, you can review this video later because these are about to be technical instructions. I want you to open your email. Pretty easy, step one. Everybody knows how to do that. Select all your emails and then mark it as unread. So all of your emails are marked as unread. I want you to go to the gear icon, go to settings, go to inbox, and then change your inbox to unread first. So now your inbox will look as this. This is way more manageable. Now let's talk about what to do with emails. Oh, sorry guys, I got a couple unread emails that just came in. Is it okay if I just respond to them real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I'm gonna just move my cursor.
Unbelievable.
Okay. Hang on, guys. All right, can you read this? Can we meet next Thursday?
June.
Sure. Absolutely. How about 9 a.m.? Okay, appreciate that. But you know what? I need to do one other thing. I need to add this to my calendar. Let me pull that up real quick so that I can just add this real quick. Okay. Dustin Smith at 9 a.m. And I always do a question mark whenever I don't have a confirmed time yet, because I want to have it as a placeholder. Because what if I told Dustin, hey, I can meet at 9 a.m., then I go and place another appointment in that spot. He now responds back, oh, yeah, 9 a.m. works great. Oh, I already booked that time, so sorry. So I like to put a question mark at an unconfirmed appointment just to have it as a placeholder. Then let me think about this. I might need to add this to my to-do list, but I'm not going to. You know why? Because I actually don't care if Dustin ever confirms with me or not, because this isn't my meeting. This is his meeting. If it were something that pertained to my job, I would absolutely follow up with Dustin and make sure, hey, we need to confirm this time. But in all honesty, I'm just going to leave it, and if he confirms, great. If he doesn't, great as well. All right, so I'm not going to add it to my to-do list right now. So let me get back to the presentation. So back to email. Oh, I got another email. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me Let me just click. Great. When do you want me to call the bank? Okay, this is a very important email. Tomorrow. So this is something that I'm actually going to need to add to my to-do list because this is an important task. If she doesn't call the bank, we're going to lose all of our money. So it's very high stakes and it does affect my job. So again, really sorry about this. Let me add this to let me open up my to-do list. All right, let me go to the follow-up on Tuesday. Megan called the bank. So now I've got on Tuesday, I'm going to know I need to follow up with Megan to make sure she called the bank because that's something that does affect my job. So cool. All right, let me go back to email. Now my inbox is incredibly clean. Thanks for letting me just take some time to do that with y'all today. So where was I? Oh, I want you to use your email like a triage unit at the hospital. So that place is specifically designed to assess on a very temporary basis where patients should go due to severity of wounds. In the same way, your inbox is not designed to be a holder of information. A triage unit is not designed to keep patients there long term. So your inbox is not supposed to be clogged and kept things there for days, weeks, or months. You decide where it goes. Should it go on a calendar so that future you can start thinking about it then? Should it go on your to-do list to handle this week? So that's, you know what? I didn't realize this. How convenient was it that you just saw me provide an example of how to use your inbox as a triage unit? So
Wow.
just amazing.
Wow.
Look right there.
Look
Can't
at
even believe
that.
that. All right. So let me continue. Any questions on email before I move on to our to-do list? So far, so good. I know it's hot in here. I appreciate everybody's excitement. All right, to-do list. I want you to use my template. You're about to be like, oh, now you're getting on my toes, Chris. You need to chill out. So I have a Google Sheet that I use that I just showed you in a moment, and I've required everyone that I work with to use it. And it has gone really well for them, and so that's why I feel very confident that it will work for you. To use this template, you go to the staff resource page, go to other resources, to-do list template, and this is what it will look like. So you'll have to just make a copy of it and save it to your Google Drive. What I personally do is I leave it as a toolbar bookmark on my web browser, and I just click it every day. At the beginning of honestly, I keep it up constantly, and that is what I use to keep up with my tasks of what I need to do each day. If a task has a lot of details, sometimes I'll hyperlink it with a Google Doc so that I can keep all of my information and my notes for that task or project in there. Obviously, there's no secret formula to how to keep up with the to-do list. I just wanted to provide this for you as a helpful tool to create, take away a barrier for figuring out what to come up with for your own to-do list system. So let me explain this. I've got two different columns. I've got on the left tasks that need to be done every single day, and then on the right, these are items of follow-up. Because the reality is, somebody is doing work for me. At the end of the day, if they don't do a good job, who's responsible?
You are.
I am, exactly. So if I send John an email and I say, hey, I need the teaching calendar for the fall for a project that I'm working on, if he doesn't respond and it escapes my brain where I don't follow up with him, and then he never sends me the information I need, I'm never able to accomplish the project that I'm supposed to do, it is not an acceptable excuse to say, well, John just didn't send me the information. It is my responsibility. So if someone needs to do something that affects my job, I take it seriously and I include that as a follow-up item. And I usually, depending on the time, it could be 2 days afterwards even. So some of y'all know what it's like if I am working with you on something and then I consistently on a weekly basis will come to you every single week and bother you about that same project until it's handled. This is why, because it bothers me. I want to delete it off my list and you're in my way of deleting it. So if there is something that doesn't go on this week of tasks, what I'll actually do is I'll add it to either my calendar to tell me when I need to add it to that week's task, or I'll just set a reminder on my phone for the same thing to remind me, add these items to your task list for this week. Make sense? Okay. That brings me to my next point, is to let technology remember things, because you cannot. In the past, we've had instances where staff and residents have had things that they were responsible for just simply go undone, and their excuse is, I completely forgot, it slipped my mind. And I don't want this to sound too harsh, but I want all of us in this room to know that is not an acceptable excuse. Because I want to free you up from, the solution cannot be you trying to remember everything. That's impossible. Trying harder is not the solution. I've had interactions with people that are extremely high caliber, highly competent, and this was how it went. They just said, "Oh, it slipped my mind," and they were very innocent about it. Like, think of the best person in this room. That's who I was talking to with this. So I want to say this is an issue that comes up regularly, and it's not a you issue, it's a system issue. You are not capable of remembering everything. It's literally impossible, and you will be forever limited in your effectiveness, and your capacity will forever be limited unless you iron out these systems. So for this particular person that I've got in mind, their issue was they needed to use their calendar. They needed to open up their calendar at the beginning of every day and create a rhythm where that is what they are using to free up their mind, to free up their energy and effort to ensure that things do not fall through the cracks. Next, write everything down. When I'm assigning things to people, if they do not write things down while I'm talking, it's one-to-one. I know this is about to be an issue. I'm going to have to coach them up because they are not capable of remembering all the details. I've seen this play out as a supervisor, and I've seen this play out, honestly, as an employee. So I'm speaking from experience, and I'm speaking from the heart. I want you to excel at your job. And this is necessary to be able to do that. When your boss is talking to you, when you're in a meeting and details are being discussed that are pertinent to your responsibilities, you must have a pen in your hand. You must have your fingers on your keyboard. That is necessary for you to excel at your job. I was meeting with Jacob Kirby about a year ago, and we were having a really awesome meeting, had a lot of great ideas that he was talking about, and it was just going really well. He was leading his team well, he was healthy, it was an awesome meeting. And I noticed he wasn't writing things down as a result while we were talking. And at the end of the meeting, before we broke, I said, all right, there's 4 items that we need to move on that we've discussed in this meeting, because I was jotting down notes. And I was kind of quizzing him. I said, what were those items? And he immediately said one of them. And then after some prodding, he said a second one. And the other 2 were completely absent from his memory. And they were really great ideas. And he realized right then, I didn't even have to say anything. He said, I need to write everything down during these meetings. And it was correct and accurate, because it is impossible for him to be able to remember everything. None of us in this room are immune to needing to write stuff down. No matter how seasoned an employee you are, this is not a skill or talent issue. All of us need to write everything down.
Just one quick comment. The importance of 2 and 3 are you should never have to think about the same thing twice if you don't have to. And so writing them down and using reminders actually frees your brain up to think about other things. So if you read a lot of people who are very innovative, that's kind of their mantra. I don't think about the same thing twice unless I have to. And so if you can train yourself to either put it on your to-do list or your calendar so it's there, and then you can mark when you need to think about it, it frees you up a ton to actually have more creative space. If you're trying to remember things, that's a bad use of your memory. It's a bad use of your brain to try to remember things to do. You're not good at it, and you're causing yourself not to be thinking about other things that are probably more important for your job and leading our church family.
I personally do this. When Adam comes in my office with an idea or an assignment, my fingers are typing while he is talking, because I want to capture all the notes. Because the reality is, as soon as he walks out that door, I usually cannot think about what he just said. I need to be able to go back to what I was working on and what I needed to be focused on, but it gives me all the necessary information that the future me can pick back up exactly where I left off. Just because my brain is not capable of remembering all the details, and no offense, but neither are you. This is a recurring issue, and we've only talked about this a couple times, and so I do see this as being on me as a training issue, but for supervisors, I want you to help your employee. If you're talking and they aren't writing things down, stop and say, hey, you need to write this down. This isn't you being rude. This is you actually being helpful. You are helping them do better at their job, which is their goal anyway. So we need to write everything down. Lastly, this is similar to what Alan was just talking about. Stop wasting your limited units of energy by spinning your wheels. It is a common sentiment of I've got so much to do, and the reason for it is we aren't freeing up our brain using our systems. And so I was talking with it was a resident a year or two ago, and it was I'm so overwhelmed, so busy. He had a series of events that he was planning for the summer, and I asked him, so what is the next event that you're doing? He said in a month from now. And then what's the second next event after that in 2 months from now? What needs to get done this week for it? He said nothing. And I said, great. Stop wasting your energy on this. Free up your mind. Make the notes that you need to make. Schedule time for you to plan in the future when it's appropriate, when you need to do it. It is not making you busy. It's making you spin your wheels. It's you thinking and stressing about something that you need to do in the future. It's not actually productivity. It's just you expending valuable units of energy. And it happens with the people in this room. This is actually a recurring issue. Let me be completely honest with you. This happens with me. So I want us to open our eyes and us to be able to see it and notice it when it comes up. And let's start thinking about how we can put this in our productivity systems to free up our brain, like Alan was just talking about it. You will be freed up, you will be relieved because of it. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions before I move on to calendars? All right. We're going to go through this next part pretty quickly. Check your calendar every day. So make it a rhythm. Do it first thing in the morning. There shouldn't be surprise meetings that crop up during the day, and that happens to us. And so we need to create rhythms that ensure that we check our calendar regularly. We need to schedule time for tasks too, not just meetings. So I tell this to John, when he's doing sermon prep, he needs to go ahead and mark that on his calendar, block out the time like it's a meeting. And he's booked, he's busy, he can't schedule something else during that time, he can't just kick it with friends in the office or respond to emails during that time. He's actually doing something. That's a scheduled appointment for tasks. I already talked about this, have a placeholder for tentative events. So that's just my system of, I do a question mark just to ensure that there's a placeholder when something has not been confirmed yet. And then lastly, be efficient when scheduling meetings. So this is a common interaction that we will, you might relate to this. I've got a series of emails from some former employees here. This is Graham sending email to Bennett. These guys, don't worry about these guys. These guys are long gone. But Graham sends email to Bennett and says, hey, let's meet on Thursday at 9 a.m. Bennett responds, I can't do that time, sorry. Sad face emoticon, just to let him know I really do feel in my heart for this. Sorry about this. No problem. I really appreciate the emoticon. Let's do this. Can you just let me know 3 times that work for you? Bennett responds, how about Monday at 2, Tuesday at 2, Thursday at 10:45? Oh, I wish I could. I'm out on vacation that whole week. How about the week after that, Monday at 4? Works for me. But you know what? We really need to get Bill involved for our meeting to be maximum productive. So they include Bill. Smart. Bill, can you meet Monday at 4 o'clock? No, I can't. Bennett, let's just quit our jobs instead. And then thumbs up emoticon. Very common interaction around here. Introducing our Midtown Google Calendar system. Let me just quickly give you a brief overview and show you how you can find further instructions. But basically, you can go to our Employee Resources tab under Staff Calendars and see all of our staff emails. This is what it will look like when you click on somebody's email. If you want to use iCal, you can just schedule an event, include the email address of the person you're trying to schedule it with, and you can actually see their availability right there. Push-up contest, yeah. It's a long time ago. I can't remember who won.
What about me?
If you are unfamiliar with this being set up, we've got instructions on the bottom of the staff calendars page on Midtown Staff Resources, so you can set that up. So cool. I wanted to cover all of our, it's 10:56, I wanted to cover all of our expected systems that we have, that we want all our employees to be utilizing efficiently and productively, so you can be effective at your job. I want you to take a hard look at your current systems. Ask what needs to be improved. If they aren't scalable, you will be forever limited in your capacity and your responsibility. And your giftedness will never be fully utilized. And so I hope this was helpful. I hope that you can glean from this and make some changes, because that was the point of today. This is the end of it, but I wanted to open up to any questions or comments to close out. But any thoughts, any details that we needed to give further explanation on?
With your to-do list, my to-do list is not day-to-day like yours is. It's just a to-do list.
So something that Von Fange did that I thought was really interesting is he actually didn't use a to-do list. He used his calendar for everything. And so he would block out his entire day, and he would determine, and it'd be planned out well in advance, and he would use that as his time on when he would think about something. Yeah. And so when he was training his replacement at Blue Cross Blue Shield, he literally just said, here's my calendar. When it tells you to think about something or to do something, that's what you're supposed to do. And that's how we trained him. Now, just for the effort of full disclosure, I don't think he did a great job training his replacement, but I loved how he utilized his calendar really well. So all that to say, this is what I do, and I just wanted to be helpful. There's no, it's going to have to work for you.
More of my question was, when you don't get things done that day, you push them to the next day, and then you just start over for the next week, try to push them around.
That's right. That's what I personally do.
I found the most helpful thing for me, like I used to have one big list, and then I started putting it on days, and then I had like too much on my days, and it was underlisted. And so one thing I've been doing recently is choosing my top 3 things that have to get done, and I like kind of taken some of the pressure off myself. And been like, these are the 3 things that I am going to do today, and then the others are just bonus points. So.
Yeah. Jay, for me, the big thing is I have to clear that day off, and so even if there's things that I didn't accomplish that day, I at least by the end I review everything. So if there was something urgent that I needed to send an email of, it at least is a catch-all. While I move things down, I know that really was a threat level midnight item that I needed to get done today, and so it protects me for that, even if I have to move things.
I'm a huge fan of Wunderlist, so if anybody wants to use it, you can assign dates. So what I love about it is if there's something I need to think about, but I don't need to think about it for 3 weeks, I can put the date where I want to think about it, and then it's on there, and I literally don't have to think about it until 3 weeks later when it tells me, think about this. So that I think Wunderlist, for the way I'm set up, works very good. Yeah. And then one practical systems things that has helped me of recent is if you are doing content development using Google Docs and then getting out in advance. So the example would be for those who assignment for workshops coming up for fall kickoff weekend, take 30 minutes and write all of your initial thoughts down and put them on paper, because once you get them on paper, the way I've trained my brain is I don't have to think of those thoughts anymore, so now I can move on to new thoughts. And it just helps with content development as quickly as you can get current thoughts out so that new thoughts can come in. And that's kind of how you want to train your brain to work is once you thought about it once, write it down, don't think about it again, and build from there.
I got a question for guys that use Google Docs. So I do that as well. I have so many Google Docs that they're just all over the place. And I know I can organize them. I know I can do that, but even within that organization stuff, it's like So I make the notes there so I don't think about it again, but it still is on my to-do list because it's coming up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's almost like I have too many things. Like, all right, we got this leadership idea for this that I don't know what, it's just, there's so many Google Doc notes and stuff out there that I don't know if y'all have this happening or not.
Well,
I feel like you do. You
yeah.
got a million of them.
Yeah, I do the folder system, and I actually have Dropbox and Google Drive have mirrored folder trees. So
Yeah.
like for mine, I'll have. Oh, get over here. So just simply, I've got a Midtown folder.
Yeah.
It's got all of these things. So like anything that's like I'm teaching, I just include them all, by the year. And I just started using Google Drive, but I have it all matched up to my Dropbox too. So like it's similar trees, folder tree, and it keeps me organized.
The way I try to do it, Jay, is with my responsibilities on Wunderlist, I have different areas so that I can think in one area at a time, but then Google Doc folders that match my Wunderlist to-do list.
Sometimes
So
on
then
one
it
list,
just keeps it.
with one list, it's helpful to add even like the hyperlink in your thing. That way you can just like, if you have to get to something, then when you have to think about it, knock it out. You can just click out to go searching for it.
So like literally for me, which I sometimes hyperlink this, but for me, I just include the Google Doc right here. So when I want to get to it, I just open up the Google Doc that was associated with the task, and this is my productivity training that I just did for us today. Again, it's gonna have to be modified to fit you. Like me and Alan will always work. We just work differently, so it is fine to figure out what works with you. I'm more touch and base. If something's not working, I wanted to be helpful and say, let's try this.
Yeah.
It's activist. Let's try something, and then you can course correct.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Chris. Great. Woo!